Hello, friends. Welcome back to the School of Self-Worth. I am your host, Nicole Song. Today, I am going to go behind the scenes with a secret that is behind all of my biggest goals happening in my life. This is also the secret that has worked for so many of my clients. And it's something that I usually only actually share with clients. But today, I decided not to gatekeep any longer and to actually share it with you because it is too good. So stay tuned. And if you're an Asian American corporate leader who's ready to reverse cultural conditioning that is keeping you hiding at work, and you want to step into a purposeful life where you really thrive and own your authentic voice, DM me authentic at Nicole Song. Okay, so let's talk about this secret. And this is one that I really love. It is something that comes from the book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's something I learned from one of my dear teachers, Suzanne Conrad. So I want to make sure that to give credit to her. And it is something that has been so instrumental for me to understand when I am wanting and heading towards a big goal. This are the four things that can get in the way. And if I am not actually addressing each of these blocks as I go, the dream won't come to fruition. I won't actually get to the other side of it. So I'm going to share with you an example and then go with you through each of the four pieces so that you can understand what it's like when we are trying to reach a really big goal, and then how do we get to the other side. So I'm going to give you the example of when I first wrote my first books, because I know that some of you might have a book goal out there. There are so many things that happened to me along the way in that process that I think will be really helpful for you as you start to pursue bigger goals and bigger dreams. So, what I'm going to share with you, I'm not going to spoil The Alchemist. I'm not going to spoil that book if you haven't read it. If you haven't read it, definitely go pick up a copy, go get a copy from the library. It is very short, very quick, but very instrumental in understanding what can get in the way of humans reaching their potential, their purpose, and stepping into their biggest desires, essentially. The book is not broken down in these four chunks. Like, it's not in the chapters or in the title of any of these chapters. So just know that this is something that Suzanne really came up with, and I have found, again, to be so helpful. And you can really see it broken down in the book as you read it. But this is a structure that's sort of inherent intuitively in the book, not something that is explained in the book itself. But it is a super helpful framework. Like, it is brilliant. And so I'm super excited to just share it with all of you. Like, I literally have a sticky note on my wall over there that is talking about this framework, because I talk about it so much with my clients, and I talk about it and I think about it so much for myself. So let's start from the very beginning. And the first block to your dreams coming true. This one is the biggest one. And it's the one that when women come to me, I find to be the one that is the one that usually is stopping them from getting anywhere. Like, they have no idea what their dream or their vision is. So the very first block is disinterring your vision. And if you don't have a vision and all you know are the things that you don't want, and that's typically what I hear. I don't want to work so much. I don't want a boss who doesn't appreciate me. I don't want to, do more hours. I don't want to work on vacation anymore. I don't want to feel unrecognized, unheard, unseen at work. So when we're in that place, we know all the things that we don't want. We're not clear on the things that we do. Again, this one is huge. If you have no idea what you want, you're never going to make any progress forward. You're only going to be in a constant reaction to everything that is happening around you. Or, like in the case of some of my clients, what happens to them is that they just do the things that land in their laps. And a lot of times they're such smart, brilliant women that they get incredible opportunities, they get incredible experiences, but they don't know that that's actually feeling right and aligned for themselves. They feel like they're only doing things that other people have come up with for them, and then they no longer feel like they are the authority, the author, the creator of their own reality. So if you're feeling that way, you're like, well, I have an awesome life. I'm really successful. I'm doing really well, but I don't actually feel like I'm driving the train of my own life. It is because you do not have a vision. And that is your very first job, is to go out and find one and get one. And if you're like, Nicole, I don't even know how to do that, DM me on Instagram and let's chat vision. Because if you don't have one, you're going to keep being stuck in the same loops over and over again. You're going to keep taking jobs that people give you, and you're not really clear if that's the job that you want. And then 2 years into that job, you're like, this isn't it either. That feeling of never moving forward, the feeling of never knowing the direction you're going, never feeling like you're on track, it all comes from this first block. So this one is huge. It's really important. It's the most important one to get dialed in. And then you get to go to the next step. So I'm going to return and retreat back into my own story about this, because I remember for a very long time that I did not want to write a book. I was a journalist. Everybody around me wanted to write books. And I said, no, thank you. I am not interested in that. Until the day came and I had a vision. And in that vision, I was an author. And I was like, okay, I guess things have changed. So for me, for a very long time, the thing that blocked me from the desire was thinking I didn't really want to do it, until I got clear and direct with myself. And I saw that I actually really did want to become an author. And so in that moment, everything changed because I declared it. I said, I am an author. And that's what really got the ball rolling for me to write my very first books, Yoga for Hikers and Yoga for Climbers, if you have not checked those out. So I have the vision, right? Once you get the vision, now the next block starts to come up. And this one is a doozy, especially for Asian American women, but I would just say a lot of people in general. And this next one is fear of what other people will think. So this fear of what other people think is such a massive block once you get the vision, because typically your vision is going to be something you haven't done before. So it's already scary. It's going to be something that gives you the shakes, maybe a little armpit sweat, like, whew, like that feels a little intense to even think about. And now this fear comes up of like, what will people think of me? Like when I was writing or thinking about my first books, I thought, well, people think I'm totally crazy, that I think that I can write a book. Imposter syndrome for sure comes up in here. It can come up with, I am too afraid to let other people know what my dreams are because I don't want them to judge me. Someone today was sharing that with me. I don't want to be judged for the things that I have to share. I will say this, when we are holding back who we are and all of the gifts that you have, I really think of it as a very selfish thing to hold back, to not tell others what you want to do, that you have a gift to put into the world. And it could be writing, it could be any number of things, but you're like, nope, I'm not going to do it because I'm too afraid of what people will think. The truth is, people are going to think what they're going to think. You have no control over it, but you do have control over your part, doing the thing that you know that you are to do. So for me, it came up in particular with my books when I was doing photo shoots. And we had gotten the proposal into a local publisher in Seattle. And then once I was there and were going forward with the books, writing the book, some fear of what other people thought came up for me around, am I writing these yoga poses correctly? Did I get everything right with the alignment? But it came up for me the most with the photos. I was like obsessed with how the photo shoots were going with the outfits. I hired a makeup artist. I wanted these pictures to be absolutely perfect. And what I realized in the middle of it, these photos were stressing me out so much, was because I was afraid of what other people would think of me as an Asian American woman being the authority on yoga for hikers and for climbers. Like, who is she? And like, so I had to make sure that everything looked exactly right to guarantee that people would like not judge me, or to try to keep them from judging my choices. And when I recognized that I was doing all of this out of fear of what other people thought, then I could actually let it go. And when I did my third book, I didn't care at all. I didn't care what other people thought. I just wanted the photos to reflect the energy of the book rather than worrying about whether we had perfect makeup. I just told my models, I was like, bring some lip gloss, wear, a cute color, and I'll see you there. And so when we really can break through this fear of what other people think when we're pursuing our goals, it frees you up so much. which then, once we work through this one, this is a big one, the fear of what other people think, we get to go to the next one. And this next block is a really powerful one also, fear of failure. Anybody friends with this one? You're like, fear of failure has been a really strong presence in my life. I'm raising my hand because yes, me too. When we get into fear of failure, so this is the next stage. You've worked through fear of what other people think, and now you're in fear of failure. You are like, oh my gosh, what if this project doesn't happen? What if this doesn't come true? What if I fail and I fail publicly? Like everybody can see that I am failing. And often when we're pursuing these big dreams, it can be a very public experience. Like for me, when I was writing my books, a lot of people knew I was writing these books. And I had so much fear that they were going to fail. I thought they would just be like, what if nobody buys it? What if these books are awful? What if I get judged so harshly? Like, what if, what if, what if? And that fear of failure would paralyze me. I mean, thank God for deadlines from my publisher, or there were definitely days I would not have been able to move forward with that project. But we have to really examine and understand fear of failure. We have to start to become friends with failure and start to separate ourselves from failure, like feeling like we personally are a failure. And we have to also understand that fear of failure is super normal. I want you to understand that I still to this day experience fear of failure whenever I'm doing a big project, when I am challenging myself to the next level. I'm always afraid on some level that I'm going to fail. And what I've learned over time is to just understand that this is part of the process. If I have fear of failure, here it is. It's the third part of this 4 blocks to dreams coming true. I am exactly where I need to be. I am dealing with exactly the right emotions in this moment, and I don't have to worry that I'm in the wrong place. I'm perfectly positioned. Fear of failure is going to happen in life. And when you stretch yourself and you really push yourself into new dreams and desires and challenges, you will feel fear of failure. I have no doubt you will feel that way. But now it's more a matter of you understanding how to navigate it and starting to say, okay, this is possible. And one of the ways I dealt with it in my own book is I thought, if one person gets something from this book, like if one person buys this book and feels like they learned something for themselves, I will feel like this book is a success. I will allow myself to say, okay, this book did not fail. You might need to do something different in a situation where you're feeling fear of failure. Perhaps you're trying to make a big pivot to change jobs. Perhaps you're applying to a job. You have like no idea if you're going to get it. Maybe you're putting yourself out in the world in a way you never have before, and you might actually fail. But the more you can become friends with failure, the more you can start to actually take risks and challenge yourself. I'm an entrepreneur, so risk taking is part of what I do. It was not natural to me at the beginning. It was definitely not something learned from my parents or my family. I became a risk taker because I became friends with failure. I started to understand failure is part of the process, and I started to be okay with it instead of letting it reflect on me personally all the time. So if you can really master this third block, I promise you it's going to benefit your life in so many different ways, in your relationships. It's going to benefit you in your career. It's going to benefit you physically when you're trying new things. How can we really start to adjust and calibrate to failure is okay? Failure is actually normal. All right, so the first 3, when I talk about them, probably will feel fairly obvious. This last one is tricky because for most of us, we don't think of this as an issue. We don't think of it as something that will come up. But this one I find often thwarts the women I've been working with for a while because it comes at them sideways. So this 4th block to your dreams coming true is fear of success. And you're like, Nicole, I want success. I'm not afraid of success. I am setting this goal because I want to reach it. And what happens frequently is that we're like, wait, what if this does go well? What if I get to the other side of this and everything actually clicks and happens just like I had hoped? And then that's when our fear of success really comes up. And this one is super interesting because it means we're basically capping ourselves at how successful we think that we can be. And I find for people who really break through into something big and successful, the fear of success is like super, can be really confronting. Like, I never thought I would be this person. I never thought that I would have this kind of experience where, wow, I really am successful. A lot of times we're afraid to allow ourselves to feel successful. I find with Asian American women in particular, they're a, they're conditioned to not to go for success in a very particular way, and they're not conditioned to be able to allow themselves to feel successful. That the pursuit of perfection, the pursuit of success is never ending. So then they often don't ever let themselves feel like I actually did it. I actually did well. And so fear of success is very much about like, once you have hit that level, how can I allow myself to be like, oh, wow, like this is better than I ever thought it could be? And it could be even better than that. Like, what if life could only keep getting better? What if we could shift ourselves to realize and recognize that it can always be better? Because when you look around the world on the internet and what people are talking about, people are often talking about things not going well, things that are really negative, things they're afraid of, things that are really challenging. And you tend to see much less of people who are succeeding and then going to that next degree. But I challenge you to start to realize for yourself that like life can always keep getting better. That once you hit something really great, you can actually start to now set a goal or desire for something beyond that that is even better. But to get there, we often have to look around first and realize and acknowledge that we are successful right now. And if you have challenges feeling like you're successful right now, you will continue to be blocked by this fear of success because you'll never allow yourself that deeper level of success. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? Because this is an important thing to understand. We have to be able to recognize our current success to allow ourselves to get to that next degree of whatever is waiting out there for you. And once you get to the end of this is the cool thing. So we've talked about 4 blocks: lack of vision, disinterring your vision, fear of what other people think, fear of failure, fear of success. And the cool thing is when you get to the very end of this and you move through that fear of success, you allow yourself to feel successful. I'm so proud, like I hit this goal. Then what happens is you reset and you start over again. And then you start over and you get to go through all 4 of these cycles again. So these 4 pieces are so powerful. I can't even tell you how powerful they are for helping yourself navigate when you're trying to reach a big goal. If you're feeling blocked in a big goal, again, DM me at Nicole Song on Instagram and let's chat about it, because this is important for you to start to move each of these 4 blocks out of the way for you to get to that dream. And if you're like, I don't have a dream, that just means you're in block 1, disinter the vision to actually start to see what's ahead for you, what would help you feel excited and in charge of your life and putting yourself in a direction that you want to go. That's exactly what we do in my course, Your Clear Calling, is we really tackle disinter the vision. We also tackle the other 3 blocks, but that first one is a really key piece for all of that. All right, so I'm going to leave you with the question of, what is your biggest dream? Like something that maybe you haven't even admitted to yourself. Like, what is that dream if you could really have anything in the world? And then DM me at Nicole Song on Instagram. Let me know your answer. And if you're still stuck, DM me vision and let's have a conversation so that we can get you to have an answer to like, what is that big dream that you're going for, that you're looking for? And then how do you start to now move through the next 3 blocks to get yourself to finishing that goal? So let's go back to my book. I did get to that fear of success piece with my book. I'm like, what if these books really are successful? And it was interesting because the books were successful and they were not as successful as I hoped. At the beginning, they did pretty well. People bought copies. And I thought, great, this is it. But I'm actually 9 years have passed since those books came out. And they have sold beyond my wildest dreams. Like, they have sold so many copies, thousands and thousands of copies, both of them. And they're just out there living their lives. I get my royalties like twice a year. It's really lovely. And I am always like, wow, like they're just really successful. And it's, again, beyond what I really thought could happen. And they're doing beautifully. And so it's like, wow, I had all this fear of success, but they are successful. And that's it. Like, I don't have to do anything about it. I don't have to think about it. They're just out there being successful. And it helped so much for me to recognize and move through that fear of success and allow it for myself. So I'm so grateful to have this conversation with all of you. Again, DM me at Nicole Song on Instagram if you want to talk about disinterring your vision, getting that vision out there into the world, or if you're feeling stuck in any of those other blocks, DM me and let's chat, because I've got something that can really help you out there. All right, friends, thanks so much for being part of this conversation, and I'll see you next week.